Let me show you how easy to sew a front seam. If you use a front seam, you need to finish the row of the seam allowance to avoid fray. I find it easiest to change my seam allowance to 1.5 inch. Unlike the plain seam, you'll start with the wrong side of the fabric facing each other. Stitch with the half of the seam allowance. Trim the seam allowance. Press the seam allowance to one side with flat iron. It's a good idea to press from both sides of the seam just to make sure the fabric plays nice and flat. Now fold the fabric along knot stitch line, enclosing the seam allowance, and press again. Next, stitch right along the pressed edge with half of the seam allowance to encase the raw edges. Press the seam allowance towards one side. Remember, if you are using this seam in the garment, you press towards the back. Here's the finished product of the front seam.